For starters, I sent everybody a message this morning. Should have come from your, like I sent it to all the computer science get-together people, email, flippy, dealy thingy, about something called Slack. We set up a, it's funny, like it won't let me type in the word Slack. It's actually hilarious. Gotcha. So this is for iPhone, Android, web, as well as there's desktop applications for it. We set up a Slack account for the computer science department. This is my Hitler account. What's up?
Oh, you brought your coffee.
Is it sugar-free caramel?
Yep.
All right. Put your name on a piece of paper and hand it to me to make up for your quiz. Okay, so in any case, the link I sent you sends you to cuwcs.slack.com. When you come here, you can go ahead and sign in. So put your Concordia email in there and sign in. I'll go ahead and sign in here. So we're going to do a lot of computer science communication and stuff like that in here, as well as I know you guys are already using it for your study group and stuff like that, right? Yeah. You've started using it for that, so we have a couple of study groups that are in here. So like here, initially I give a thing about what the special topics class is going to be in the fall and when the senior seminar presentations are going to be. We also have some private groups in here, so if you go into the channel for hackathon info, if you're interested in the Chicago hackathon, after you sign up, send me a private message and I'll get you into that group. But it's a good place for you to go and, you know, for instance, this is a private group, so you guys can't necessarily see it until you've joined, but this is the Curcio, Zeman, Austin Meyer group that they've been doing their stuff for their homework and stuff like that in there. So kind of the concept of Slack, and a couple of reasons why I'm kind of introducing it here in the department. First of all, it's kind of an up-and-coming industry standard for companies to use. So it'll be beneficial if you get an internship somewhere. There's a decent chance if it's anything in technology, they'll be using Slack. It's kind of a, I want to say startup company, but it's been around for several years, worth multiple billions of dollars. The concept is it's supposed to kind of replace all of your inter-office and interpersonal communication and put it into one place. Still sends you push notifications. It'll shoot you an email when there's an update or a private message or something like that, so it'll still drag you back into Slack from your normal communication channels, but it's a kind of a one-stop shop for you to have all that stuff as opposed to you having to go back through and look through 30 emails or something like that. You can share files directly through it, all sorts of stuff like that. So really good tool. What I'm going to do, and I'll put a post here in all the my channels, so for you guys in here, CSC300, I'm going to give a extra credit quiz if you sign up, fill out your profile, and post just the word quiz in this channel, proving that you're on the system. And
what's your first and last name?
Oh, I said that? First and last name? Oh, it's already in there. Yeah, post your first and last name. But make sure that you've gone into your profile and you've set it up. You weren't first. You were actually second.
No, I wasn't. I was up.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Make sure you switch it so your profile has your first and last name in it, so that when you set up your account, you can choose whether to show actual names as well as just the, I have it set to show actual names for these. So, in fact, Alex, you haven't set yours up yet.
I haven't set mine up yet.
Well, do you see how Austin has his name shown up there and yours does not, and Josh does?
I don't want my name.
But that's a requirement for the quiz points.
No, it just says post your
That's
first
his
and last
username.
name.
Yeah, well, I'm the one who's giving the quiz points. So, all right, so make sure you do that and try to start using this tool. It's a kind of a good tool for this type of stuff. Plus, it might help you connect with some of your classmates for homework help and that kind of jazz. For your CUW, should be fair.fair@cuw.edu.
I haven't gotten a 300 request.
300's a public channel.
Okay.
It's not a private. So any of you can just go into that channel. Okay, and if you think it would be beneficial to have any other public channels, let me know and I'll create them. I don't think you guys can create public channels, can you?
Yeah.
You can just create one randomly?
I don't know if we can. I'll just try it. Hello, world.
Oh, it doesn't show my actual one on there. That's fun. I like my username more.
It has your username. It should.
I know, but he has it set up to show actual name.
It's right here.
Yeah.
Go
Oh, there it
under
goes.
the +1 more. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess you can set up your own channels. Probably dump that one because it's meaningless, but all right. So, and then you can also send direct messages to people in here, and you can create your private groups if you have a study group or working on a project. So, for instance, right here we have a project for Coder, which is the interpreter we were writing at the hackathon, my group, and we're going to keep writing this and try to sell it. Then I have another group for all the people who are helping me with my boat. So if you know anything about woodworking and stuff and you want to help me with my boat, let me know and I can add you to this group. We have to put a wood floor inside of an inflatable thing that will hold me.
The inflatable thing already holds him, so
Mhm.
part of the battle is done.
All right. So any questions about Slack? Go ahead.
If we didn't get emails, is there a quick way to find it?
CUW. Oh, yeah, there is. I already said it, didn't I?
I never got the email.
You must not have been on Dr. Locklear's email list then.
A quick way to find it is just
cuwcs.slack.com.
if you already added Slack, it's super easy.
And if you want, you can even create your own, Slack pages as well. Outside of this, if you have, like maybe you want to do something for your frisbee, ultimate frisbee team, something like that, and bring them in here. You could do it within computer science if you want, but you might create your own. Because, like for instance, actually, I can't show you here on mine. Well, I can. I can just show you that I can add. So I'm going to.
Create a new team.
I already have a second team. I don't use this app all the time. Where's my, is it this guy?
I think it's team directory. I don't know.
No, it's,
Okay.
how do I switch teams on this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sign into another team. So I have another team that I'm part of. That's the programming school that I mentor for. So now I have two teams up here, and it shows them over here on the left. You can do the same thing on the mobile app. So here's all the Thinkful stuff, and here's that Llamas and Pajamas thing. That's from Thinkful. So there was a bug in the code when there was a new Xcode update a couple days ago, so I fixed up their project and pushed an update. But then you can just switch back and forth between your various things on here. All right, so you might want to create one for your frisbee team and invite them all to it and all that jazz. And the app is really good for all the smartphones and sends them push notifications, so it might be a good way for you to cancel practice and stuff like that without having to message 15 people. That kind of thing. Huh?
Or just how many people send like 10 notifications every 2 hours?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Really cool tool, and pretty much any tech company now uses it. Kind of the punchline. Any other questions? So cuwcs.slack.com. I'll send an email out to each of my individual classes too. I just took Dr. Locklear's global email he sent to invite everybody to the CS get together. I just decided that was probably a global list that I could just send it to, and so apparently you didn't make that list. Then you should have got this one. Maybe check your spam. If you have me marked as spam, that's upsetting. Anything from Littman directly redirect to trash can. Okay, so how did the homework assignment go? Not bad? Easy? You didn't do it?
No, I did. I just have no idea what. I don't think it was right.
It wasn't right. Really?
Yeah.
Was it easy? What you did?
What I did, it wasn't hard.
Because I just printed "Hello World." I should check. Skinny caramel macchiato with sugar-free caramel. You sure you said sugar-free caramel?
Yeah, positive.
That would be like the number of carbs I'm allowed in a month. Yeah.
I can't sign into Angel because I turned it in after class.
Did you definitely do it? So you're not lying to me? You're not going to just turn my solution in? No, I don't believe you. You can turn it after class. The server's still having problems?
Yeah, it was last
YouTube.
night.
Well, I know the server went down last
YouTube
night.
went down last night for a little while.
No, the
You could
whole
only-
internet went down.
Yeah, you could only access, or I live off campus, but YouTube and Google went down for about an hour and a half. It was awesome. I was like looking it up afterwards, so I'm like, you could only access YouTube via like their mobile app. So I was watching your video from the mobile app.
I've heard I look like I weigh 10 pounds less on mobile.
You do, except on a 6+. Then you're huge. That 5.5 inch, extrapolate that out.
Oh, PayPal messaged me asking me for my address to send me more swag.
Sweet.
I want swag.
I hope they send me an axe.
PayPal, maybe not.
You can just go to the Renaissance.
Yeah, but that doesn't say battle hack on it. It doesn't glow in the dark.
You gotta get one custom forged, man.
Talk to Jesse.
It's the only way.
That's true. That is true. My former student that met us at the hackathon, his name's Jesse Bellato. He was one of my students, what did we decide, 14 or 15 years ago? A while ago. I've been teaching for a while. So so this is when I used to teach at Western Illinois University. And one time he got in trouble in class because he was rolling a Dungeons & Dragons character in the back of class, actually with dice. Like you could hear the dice rolling. But he's a real sharp guy. And anyways, he lives in Raleigh, so he came and was on one of our, he was on Austin's team. Was he an all right guy?
Yeah.
Good bloke. He's a good bloke. Well, in any case, he's a little bit out there, as some computer science majors are. And so apparently in the last couple of years, he's taken up leatherworking. Makes his own armor. But I got the impression he's going at this at kind of the professional level. This isn't Renaissance Fair type stuff. This is more of Battle of Midgard type stuff. I need to be prepared. There can be only one Highlander. Looking for a quarry to find diamonds to tip his swords. That type of thing. Yeah.
Just going for gold.
So at first he says it, I'm thinking he's like kidding. He starts pulling out pictures, showing me the stuff he's making. It's like, do you see this right here? This is made out of 3/4 inch burlap. I slaughtered the cow myself. All right, so let's look at this homework. Did I bring it, or you can turn it in after class? That's fine. So I probably won't. I just have so much to catch up on because I didn't do anything last week because for the hackathon stuff. Okay, so parse statement. we want this guy, every single time this guy gets called, he's going to, so we have our, something's popping. Okay. So we have our parser. Parser's taking in things that look like this, right? So we're ignoring white space and all this jazz. All right. And then we're going to call our parse method on this. What does parse do? Parse comes in here, and it calls parse statement initially. Okay. Parse statement needs to go in, and we decided, based on our tree from last time, okay, that if something looks like this, when we parse statement, our only statement that we're going to support here is a var def statement. So it's going to expect a variable followed by an equal sign followed by a math expression. Okay? So let's go and write parse statement first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first write a little method here called get next token. Okay, and what I want get next token to do is, remember last time we decided we're going to keep track of where we currently are in our statement. So we want get next token to walk our statement until it picks up the next little piece. Okay? So what's that next little piece? The next little piece initially might be a variable. After that, it might be a operator. After that, it's another character. We cannot necessarily assume that we will have any white space in here. You could. You could choose to go and remove white space. There's nothing wrong with that. That would be a very reasonable approach to this. Is that what you want to do? So we'll write a function, private string. Actually, we don't need a private string. We need we just say private void remove white space. Actually, we don't even need the function. We can just do it in our constructor. So we'll let the person write it however they want, but in our constructor, we'll just remove all the white space. Okay? So what does it mean to remove all the white space? Go through and only keep things that aren't spaces? In our language, are spaces ever allowed? Is there any aspect of our language here that would allow for spaces? Okay, something we do need to be careful of is if in the future we're going to start supporting, if we start supporting strings, removing spaces may become problematic. Make sense? Okay, but for us right now, maybe it's not that big of a deal. Question is, do we really gain anything by removing white space? We're going to be doing it anyways as we're walking through there. I'm not sure we necessarily gain much. So what are the different types of animals that I might read here? I might read a variable name. I might read a equal sign. I might read one of our other operators. So these guys are operators, let's say. So operator, operator, operator. These guys are symbols. Okay? And then when we read in something like this, that gives us some information. So we'll have to decide how we're going to handle parentheses in a second. So I'm going to start off by kind of writing this organically. So we're going to start off by getting the next token, or we could just say, how about get, well, I'm calling those operators. I think token's fine. Get next token. I like that. So get next token, its job is going to be to read something in like this. Okay, but we might have white space before it. So all the way up to we start getting something that is a letter. And I'm not even going to check right now because we're going to assume that the people are calling this with with legal input. So I know the order I should be getting things. I should be getting a token followed by an operator followed by a math expression. And what's a math expression? Comes in a couple of different forms, but so I know what to expect. So I'm going to burn through white space until I finally start collecting something. And then once I'm collecting something, I'm going to keep going until I hit a white space or something that's not a character. Make sense? Something that's not a legal part of a variable name. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to create a string called legal chars. And this guy's going to have upper and lowercase letters in it. That's the stuff that's legal for our variable names. All right, so those are all the legal characters that we're going to allow to be in our variable names. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to burn through white space. So we're going to start at position pause. Pause always tells us where we are in our string. And initially pause starts off at 0. So we'll say while pause is less than this dot the statement dot length. That's as far as we're technically going to be allowed to go. Okay? That's as far as we're technically going to be allowed to go. We know we're always going to increment pause at the end of this. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to ask if this dot the statement dot char at pause, if the current character we're looking at is not a space, okay, is not a space, then we want to start capturing it. Well, we're going to need somewhere to capture it. So we're going to need another variable. Call this guy token. We'll start off as the empty string. And we'll say token plus equals this dot the statement dot char at pause. Okay, but that's only if that was our first space we hit. Okay, if that was our first space we hit, our first non-space we hit, that's when we want to capture it. So we have to add a couple of things to this. We want to add stuff to our token if we are not looking at a space and if it's a legal character that can be added to our tokens. Correct? It's got to be legal. So I'm actually, instead of doing a whole bunch of ands, I'm going to build this as a nested type thing. I think it will look clearer. So as I'm walking through my string here, okay, that's a space, that's a space, that's a space, that's a space, that's a space. So I'm not doing anything with those. Right now I'm just burning right past them. As soon as I hit something that's not a space, I'm going to start collecting it. How do I know that this is something that, so for instance, how do I know that I'm at the beginning of my token or in the middle of my token? So let's say the token is actually Apple. So how do I know I'm somewhere in here rather than sitting at this guy, which is not a space?
Go to until you hit something different.
Okay, so I need, as long as I'm hitting something that is a legal character, I'm going to collect it. Okay? But as soon as I hit something that's not a legal character, which spaces are not, correct? As soon as I hit something that's not a legal character, what am I going to do? What if we made spaces legal characters? If I made spaces legal characters and just said, collect everything up to when you hit an illegal character, boom, 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 boom. I get to that. We're not going to keep it. And then return the trimmed version of that. Would that work? rather than try to omit spaces.
What if there's spaces after apple? Does it trim both ends?
Yeah, it'll trim both ends.
Oh, cool.
So I'm just going to go ahead and throw a space into my allowed characters. Now again, this assumes that the person gives us legal input. That is no spaces in variable names. Okay? Although, technically, this would allow our language to have spaces in variable names if we wanted it to. Okay? So now I don't even have to ask if it's not a space. I'm going to say if legal chars dot index of this dot the statement dot char at pause, if that guy returns a character that is not -1, or returns a number that's not -1, that means that the current character I'm looking at is one of these dudes. Therefore, it's a legal portion of our token. Therefore, we want to collect it. As soon as we get here in this else, this means we are at the end of the token. We're going to go ahead and return token.trim. Now notice that by returning token.trim here, we will not hit pause plus plus, which means that the next time we try to read something, we will be sitting right there in this example. We didn't burn past that equal sign. It's important because we're going to probably have to read in the equal sign here in a second. Make sense? Okay. And at the end, for we also then need to return null here at the very end, just in case we know that since we're only allowing legal input, that we'll never hit this return null. Make sense? Okay. Actually, if we want this to still work, we could just return token out here. Actually, we probably need to return token out here. Why is it? Why is that token, returning token there is actually correct? What if this was the token we were reading? I suppose since we have semicolons, we'd be okay. But if we didn't allow semicolons, we would hit the end of the string before we hit any legal character. Okay? But returning token's not going to hurt anything. Okay? So this is our catch-all. If in the event that we were building up token in here and never actually hit the else, we'll go ahead and just return whatever token is. Wouldn't our position... Well, we should never get here.
Yeah.
So pause is going to be off the end of the string, which would be okay. I mean, I don't think that's wrong. Whether pause is 1 off the end of the string or 50 off the end of the string, we're off the end of the string. Okay. Are you sure that's sugar-free?
Yeah, I told him sugar-free.
I lost another 5 pounds since before the hackathon. It's pretty good, right?
Oh, you lost weight over the hackathon too? Wow, that food was good too.
Yeah, I ate. I just didn't eat any carbs. But it's like weird. Like this crap this doctor has me on. So I spent a year. I gained like 100 pounds in a year while not eating that much. And all of a sudden he puts me in this new medicine for my thyroid, and I'm just like withering away. Like, can you tell I've lost? Like, do I look like better?
You look the same.
Really? My wife says you can see it in my face. I have Only 3 chins now instead of 4. Dropped a chin.
A little bit, just a tap.
Hmm?
Just a tap.
Yeah, so I'm down 27 pounds now in 5 weeks. It's pretty legit, right?
It's a lot.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. What was I doing? That's how Fair starts his homework.
That's actually true, too.
I know it is, Pebbles. Sorry, I forgot to call you Pebbles.
That's fair.
You prefer your given name over Pebbles?
I do it with donuts.
Would you prefer a rock?
No.
That would work.
No. Did you see how Yiming has like totally embraced Blade? He signed his emails Blade now. I think he went to the thing to have went to the DMV to have his driver's license updated. Okay, so get next token is going to get us something that looks like a variable. Right. Then we have things like get next whatever. Okay, so we're going to say private. Now let's go this route. What's our whatevers, our possible whatevers? We have something like this. So I might specifically be looking for an equal sign. Are we going to do anything with this equal sign, or is it just an expected token, an expected symbol? Kind of an expected symbol. All right. We're going to go ahead and take in a string for that, just in case we have symbols that look like that. We can match it against two elements, okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to say private string get next symbol string s. So we're going to tell it what we're looking for. That way it can walk our string. So the whole purpose of these methods is to walk our string and make sure we leave pause in a reasonable place. Make sense? So get next symbol is going to take in a string s, and we're going to just walk through. We're going to do something pretty similar to what we did here. All right, and we're going to walk through and ultimately pick up our next guy here. So our legal characters in this case, string legal chars, is going to be equal to s concatenated with a space. We'll go ahead and tag a space on there. Then we're going to build something up. Look for it. Pause plus plus. So we're really doing all the same crap. Correct? If I'm looking for a single equal sign, and I pass in equal sign here, I'm going to say my legal characters are whatever the equal sign was plus a space. That way I ignore white space before and after it. I'll start going through as long as I'm looking at something legal. Collect it, collect it, collect it. As soon as I hit something illegal, go ahead and return that guy trimmed.
What are we passing it off?
In this particular case, this might be like the string equal sign.
Okay.
Find me the equal sign, because that's what I'm expecting. Find me a semicolon, because that's what I'm expecting. Okay, so in this case, the return token helps us out with the semicolon. Now, wouldn't you say that this code and this code are the same code?
Yeah, just different legal characters.
Yeah, legal characters is all that's changed. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to write a generic function. So actually, let's call this next token. Let's call this guy let's have it take legal characters in as a parameter. I'm going to steal this so I have to type the whole alphabet again. Okay, so this guy will always get me the next token that fulfills the rules associated with legal characters. That makes sense? Then up top here, I'm going to create a couple of private static string call this legal variable characters and do that with it. I'll teach you something new here. We'll make that guy final. Final means it's a constant, can't change. Can't change. Similarly, we're going to have another one. Legal. Actually, for this one, we won't have, because we're going to, these are situational things. We'll just have legal variable characters up there. And then next token is going to take in a string for legal tokens, or legal characters. And it's just going to do the same thing it did before. So now we don't need this get next symbol guy.
Could we just pass it? What if we had the same thing and passed it a char instead? No.
Well, we would have to pass it a string version of that char. I mean, if you really want to have one that passes as a char, you could just have one that takes a char and as a parameter and then calls this guy with it wrapped in a string. So now parse statement, we're going to read our variable name. How do we do that? Well, we're going to say string var name is equal to this dot, what do I call it? Get next token, and the string it's going to take is parser dot, well here, I cheated a little bit, but chances are you weren't paying attention. How do I access this guy? What kind of animal is this? Well, why? Well, first of all, this is a variable, right? Okay, it's a variable. How do you know it's a variable? As opposed to a method. Looks like a variable. Right? It's a variable because it looks like a variable. Doesn't have opening and closing parentheses on it, all that jazz. Okay, plus this thing is highly suspicious. This guy over here. Make sense? See, Pebbles doesn't even get it yet. You get it? All right. So this guy looks like a variable. We know it's a variable. Okay. What does static say about this guy, Pebbles?
You can flatter me, but you can ask someone else.
You should know this one. Okay. First of all, it's a variable, not a method. So we got that. Now you're not actually far off with the instance thing. You just picked the wrong team. If it's not an instance field, not an instance variable, it must be a.
Can't remember the last one.
There's only two.
I know.
Okay.
Class variable.
Class. It's a class variable. It's actually a field. What makes this guy a field? Huh? You got that one?
I know it's class.
What?
He's needed to be verified.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to give it the wrong answer on camera.
Why not? That's the best way to learn. Do you know how many times he embarrassed himself before he just started embarrassing himself? More?
That's why I sit right here.
All right. So this guy is, what makes him a field? Anybody answer that for me? Yeah, it's owned by the object. It's kind of a global variable within an object, and global variables within objects are known as fields. It's just a name. Okay, it's a variable. Just because it belongs to the object, object-oriented verbiage would say it's a field. Okay, and because it's static, how do we call static members of a class? Pebbles.
This dot static.
Old Alex? Name of the method. Name of the class. So we call he doesn't even speak English and he got it right. Plus he's like 104 years old. I know. Man, I love old Alex. Old Alex is such a good sport. What's up?
I was surprised I got most of the homework right.
All right, so in any case, because it's a class member, we call class members using the name of the class in which the member was defined. Class methods are called using the name of the class in which the method was defined. Class fields are called using the name of the class in which the field was defined. So we're going to say down here, parser dot legal variable characters. So when we want to get our variable name, we're going to ask our getNext token to get us a variable name given these guys as the legal characters. Make sense? And we have to remember we are always trimming leading and trailing spaces inside there.
So this would work for a string, then? Like if it said hello world with space in it.
Correct. It would work for that. Yep. Okay, but that's an important thing for us to remember that this guy does. So we'll throw it there in a comment. Okay, so this will get our variable name. Then for a parse statement, since we only have variable def statements right now, what should we be looking for next?
Would this create a problem, like if you had A space B?
A space B. No, I mean it actually will let us have variable names with spaces in it, the way we've written it. We're going to assume we're passing it legal content. Yeah, because we're not approaching this from a language perspective. It's a little mini language example, but yeah, I mean, we're just going to assume it gets legitimate input, and whatever we pass it that's just what it is. Okay, we're not trying to match it to any real language. So after we get our variable name, the next thing we're looking for is the assignment operator, right? Am I going to do anything with the assignment operator? Not going to do anything with it. So we're going to say this dot get next token, and we're going to pass it the equal sign, the guy we're looking for, and we're not even going to store it anywhere. It'll just burn right past it. Okay. Now we do need to do some prints here, so we'll say system.out.println to fulfill our homework. Red varname. Okay, so that reads that guy, then burn past the equal sign. So we won't store the result anywhere, we won't print it, we just shot right past it, making sure that we've updated the position of pause. That make sense? So pause is our program counter, it keeps track of where we are in the current string. Then we need to read math expression. And how do we read math expression? Well, we read math expression by calling parse math expression. This dot parse math expression. Make sense? Oh. So did we decide that the only thing that's allowed on the right-hand side is a math expression? Yeah. Okay. So we're going to read math expression. And what are we finally going to read at the very end? Semicolon. Burn past the semicolon. We know it's there, but we'll go ahead and go through the motions just to see that. So this is all parse statement's going to do. It'll read the variable name, say we're reading the variable name. It'll burn past the equal sign, then it'll call parse math expression, then it'll burn past the semicolon. Okay? So do you see, because we've written that other thing, how simple parse statement looks? This guy's very straightforward because we wrote this dude up here. Okay? So this is actually one of the things that I want us to get out of these exercises is kind of the idea of building our own power tools. Out of curiosity, in doing your homework, how many of you wrote a little function that does something similar to this? Do we see how handy it is? Okay. Now, I mean, I didn't expect there to be a lot of yeses. When you go into solving problems, start thinking in terms of what little tools can I create that'll make my life easier. Because what's going to end up happening, I'm going to guess several of your solutions had loops all over the place as you're trying to walk through here and walk through here and walk through here when you're really doing the same crap over and over again. Why not get all your bugs into one place? So that if there's a problem, we can go and fix just that one function. Does that make sense? Okay, so try to start thinking about things in terms of what tools can I build myself in order to make my life easier. Because remember, we solve all of our problems in terms of the tools we have in our toolbox. Those are the tools we've heard of that came with Java, as well as the tools we might build. Make sense? Okay, so this is all parse statement's going to be. Now we're going to deal with what's a math expression. Okay, so for a math expression, we need to find out what kind of math expression we're dealing with. In our particular case, we support two math expressions. We support the one that starts with a variable name, and we support the one that starts with a opening parenthesis. Correct? So what would happen if I called get variable name on this string here? Well, if I passed it the legal characters for a variable name, and it came back. If I try to call that on here, it's going to get to this very first character here. It's not going to find anything. What's it going to return me? So this is the string I'm passing it. Okay, pause is right here. And I say, get me the next token with these legal characters, the full alphabet and the space.
Would it pass you the parentheses? Because we have the return token at the end of the thing.
Well, does it ever actually concatenate that on?
No.
But it'll add to the position on it, so your next position will be in the A plus B.
Well, it's going to say pause this. So pause starts here. If we're not looking at the legal character, we're going to do this. Well, the very first thing we read is the opening parenthesis. Is the opening parenthesis found inside of full alphabet and spaces? No. Is there an opening parenthesis in here anywhere? No opening parenthesis in there. Therefore, I'm going to get into this else. It just says return token.trim. Did I ever actually concatenate anything onto token? So what's the current value of token? Empty string. And pause will be right where I left it. Does that make sense? Pause didn't move at all. So if I try to get a variable name, and it gives me back the empty string, and I'm assuming I called it with accurate syntax. I passed it a legal string to test this. I know I must be dealing with a parenthesis. Correct? So I can go ahead and burn through it. So in parse math expression, we're going to say string var name is equal to this guy. So do the same thing as we did up there. Then we need to ask if varname.length is equal to 0, which means that we didn't actually get anything. Okay? We tried to read a variable, didn't work out. We know, meow, we know that we are at the beginning of a paren math expression, something like that. Okay, what do we do in that case? Well, if I'm in a paren math expression, I know I need to burn past this, then call parse math expression, then burn past this, right? This dot get next token, open parenthesis, that'll burn past that, then this dot parse math expression, then this dot get next token, closing parenthesis. That's what I do if I know I'm sitting at the beginning of a math expression or a parenthesis expression. Else, if I didn't get into this if statement, I know I just write a variable name. Correct? So what do we do when we read a variable name? We're going to say read var name. Print out the variable name we just read. Okay, what's the next thing I read in after a variable name? What's up? The operator. And right now we only support plus signs. Is that true, or did I say any of them? Okay, doesn't matter. We're same code. So we're going to steal this guy right here. Give ourselves another constant up here. So we're going to say legal op characters. So this is plus, minus, times, divide. Is that what we said that's legit?
Did we say module too?
It doesn't matter, you choose. You want mod? It's not going to change our output. It's the same solution. We can add operators to our heart's desire here. Okay. So we read the variable name in. Now we know we need to read in an op. Okay. So actually we're going to do this. We're going to do this the bad way first, and then we'll see the problem. So I'm going to say this dot get next token. Do we care about the op right now? Are we doing something with the op? We are, right?
We should be printing now.
So string op is equal to this dot get next token parser dot legal op characters. So go ahead and get me my operator, and then what comes after the operator? Another variable? So call parse math expression. Parse math expression will first try to read a variable name. Then it'll check, is the name I read an actual name? If it's not, in our current setup, that must mean it's a parenthesis math expression. What's a parenthesis math expression? It's a parenthesis followed by a math expression followed by parenthesis. That's what that guy is. How do I deal with math expressions? I call parse math expression. I'm just going to call this guy all over again after I burn past the opening parenthesis. So that particular time through, we're inside here. I'm going to read the first variable, which in this case will be an A. So I read in the A. Is the length of A 0? It's not, so I go to the else. I print out read var name A. Then read in op. What was it, multiplication? Then read op. Then read in the next variable name, which is a B. Print out B. This version of parse math expression is now done. Pop back up here. sitting right there. Now I just burn past the closing parenthesis. What comes after that? Then I need to read in an op. Then I need to read in a variable name. The reality is I do those things every single time regardless, right? So can't I put those outside of the else if? Just like this. Try to read in a variable name. If it's actually a variable name, print it out and then go and read in your op and your other variable name. If it's not actually a variable name, then let's go ahead and process the parenthesis math expression and then read in the op and the other variable name. Can that second guy be a math expression? He can be. This guy right here could be a math expression. Well, how do I handle that? My first var name could have been a math expression. My second var name could also be a math expression. If he was a math expression, deal with the math expression. Otherwise, read var name. Make sense? If we didn't have our power tool here, this code would look like just like a horror film. Right? Did yours look like a horror film? It wasn't. Now, of course, this works. We don't have to test it. We don't need another Kentucky incident. That's probably my quote of the year that came out of you, Curcio. I just love that statement so much. It's like, do you think we could drive through Kentucky so we could see this firsthand? Where we have the when your child is also your parent. Remember we had the infinite loop between child and parent? And Curcio says, can we drive through Kentucky on the way to the hackathon and see this firsthand? Love that. So you actually probably don't have to do homework ever again because I'm just going to give you good grade. But you probably should do homework. Because make you better, make you stronger. All right, questions about this?
Can we try it?
Doesn't work?
Doesn't work.
Well, did you sure you typed it correct?
Stack over.
Just relax, relax. Chances are you made a mistake. Okay? Chances are you made a mistake. All right, so let's walk through this. We're going to start our code. Let's actually just give ourselves this as the example. This is our example. And then we're going to have pause. Pause starts off as 0. Okay, and this is our string. Okay. Now, let's follow the steps. We come into parse. Well, first of all, let's make sure we're building it correctly. Something looks like this. Call p.parse. And is this guy a legal statement? Variable equal math expression. We read our op, don't we? Then this. Okay. So we're going to call parse statement. First thing we do is read in our variable name. So that's going to come through here. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We get to here. So we read in apple. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so pause is currently 9. We just read an apple. We get to the equal sign here. Let's go back into our code here. Get next token. We read in APPLE. Then we got to the equal sign. So the equal sign was sitting right here. But we return this. Actually, we probably need to say token.trim right here, right? I'll have to get us out of that. So actually, by returning this right here, we keep ourselves from having pause get incremented one more time. We really need to have pause +1 here, or we could just break. Get out of that loop. That'll dump us out here and return our token. Same problem though, we need pause to be 1 bigger than it used to be, right? So before we break, pause ++. Because by breaking, we are not going to hit this guy right here. Make sense? Okay. So let's just put it. Move forward 1. What's up?
Just took away all of our ops.
It should. We're not printing out ops.
Here we are.
Are we?
Yeah,
Just read
most of
that.
it.
Oh, hold on. It's fine. Just deal.
Just do it.
Okay. So this should handle our apple and leave us at the pause at the equal sign, right? So this should give us pause is now 10. Okay. Now, come back down to parse statement. Now we're going to burn past the equal sign. The equal sign says, well, for that guy, we're going to call get next token. Start token off at the empty string. We'll start off at position 10. Keep going as long as we're less than the length. If we're looking at a legal character and we passed in the equal sign. So if what we just read in is found, add that onto token. Go on to the next character. Then, is the next guy found? He's not part of this group, right? We just passed in just the equal sign. So we'll drop into the else. We'll hit plus, and then break out, return token. So that's going to say we just were here at 10. 10 becomes 11. Our very first time through. Which this is actually going to be interesting. Okay, so we read in the equal sign. And now we're sitting there at that equal sign. Then I say pause ++ right here. Actually, I say pause ++ right here. So now we're actually sitting 1 past the equal sign. So I'm sitting right there. So pause is currently 11, which is where I want it to be. I'd like it to be at 11, but I have to spin through again. So now I'm checking. Is the next guy, which is the opening parenthesis, is that in my list that is just the equal sign? It's not. So I go to the else, and I add 1 to pause. I've thrown pause off by 1. Make sense? Okay, so I kind of have an issue here. I want it to stay 11. I don't want to add 1 to it here. But in the previous example, when I was here, and I got to this guy right here, actually I got to this guy right here. Actually, would we have added 1 to it before? Let me think about this. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So start capturing 6, 7, 8, 9. Add 1 to it. We're at 10. Then we say, is this the guy we want? No. So we don't actually add one. This isn't correct to add one there. Still want to break. Still want to do this. Next time through, we say, let's read the equal sign. We read that, kick it forward one. So now we're sitting there. Is this the guy we want? No. End. Leave pause there. Okay. Should be good with that. Then, parse math expression. Parse math expression is going to say, get me a variable name. And it's going to come back this very first time with, it just tried to read this. Just tried to read this. And that guy actually does what? Should have the empty string. Why? Because we came in here, we said, is the character we just read, the character at position pause, is that in my list of things that are legal variable names? It's not. So go to the else, break, return that value trimmed. Empty string trimmed. Not going to hurt anything. Okay, so I came down here. Now we have var length is 0. I got the empty string back. So then I know I must be dealing with an open parenthesis, followed by a math expression, followed by a closing parenthesis. I'll go through. I'll read in my opening parenthesis, which will read that, and leave me one past it. Then I'll read in my variable name. So this is our next call through parse math expression. Read in a variable name. It'll read in the A, then the space, but return A trimmed. But it's leaving our counter right here. Okay? So to read in that, trim it, we'll see that A does have a length bigger than 0. Therefore, we say we read variable name A. Then we're going to read in an op, one of our legal op characters. So we're sitting right here. It's going to read in the op, space, 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 but it didn't actually read those in because that wasn't one of our op characters. So it just read in the op here, then jumped right here, saw this wasn't one of the legal characters, returned the op trimmed. So our pause is currently right there. So that's reading in op. Then we print out read op. Then we read in our next variable name. Next variable name says read, read, read. Now we're sitting right there. We see that's not a legal character. So we don't concatenate it onto token. We return token trimmed, which is just B. Is the length of that guy equal to 0? It's not. So we'll say we printed out B. We hit the end of this particular call to parse math expression. And now we burn past the closing parenthesis. Right here. So that drops us past this else. Now we're going to read in the op. Okay, what's the problem? When I said read in op, it gets stuck on white space here. So do we need to include white space as legal op? Did we?
No.
White space. Make sense? So now we got our white space, legal op, white space. We got this guy, trim it. Just get us our one operator, the minus sign. So we'll read that in, print out the minus sign, then we'll try to read in the variable name. It's going to get this guy, then we're going to hit something that's not a legal variable name right there. So it's just going to give us a C, return it. Here's that red C. Now this call to parse math expression ends, which was our original call, and now we burn past the semicolon right here. Now we're at the end. Editor does not contain a main type. Seems good.
Didn't that happen to you, Austin, yesterday?
Yeah.
You had to delete the public class driver up to the first line.
Yeah. Get rid of that first space. That's weird. Oh. Okay. Well, that fixed
We're
it.
just going to open up, close Eclipse, open it. Sometimes Eclipse gets moody. Get near the end of the semester.
I mean, at least there's no over.
Red A equals A times B minus C. Does that look right? A. Oh, ours wasn't. Ours was this guy out here. A times B minus C. I think it was the right output, right? Times B minus C. Similarly, we call it a second time for P2 dot parse. It should read in A, B minus C. A, B minus C. Does yours work?
I think I'm printing out an extra location.
That's not what mine was.
Hmm.
That was the same. And then I'm getting an error.
Mine doesn't have an error.
So where's everywhere that we print?
Oh, I see. I see. Okay, I'm good now. You probably didn't delete all the stuff in the else statement and put it outside the else.
Oh, him or me?
Awesome.
Because mine works flawlessly.
That's what I did.
Oh, more soda. I'm so happy. All right. So
I want to get mine working so that I can try my more complex thing because it didn't look like yours was working fully.
but it is. Now, one thing that you saw me do there that most of you probably don't do. Did you notice that before I even hit play, I tested my code on a simple example? And you just see the several errors that I bumped into along the way? One of the reasons that I give myself some strange input like this with spaces after things and stuff like that is so this isn't going to guarantee you're not going to miss errors. But one thing that happens is when you just hit play and you get an error, that puts your mind in a new mode. Okay? If you walk through it before you even try it the first time, and you try to make sure you understand what you're trying to accomplish, at that point you don't know whether something's wrong or not. So you can walk your logic and see what's going on. Otherwise, you might get distracted by an error message and be looking in the wrong place. Okay, so I'd encourage all of you, before you ever test your code, before you ever hit play once, walk through it on a couple of examples. See how it works. I think you'll find that the number of times that your code works the first time, or at least the first couple times, increases greatly.
Can you throw it back up?
Make sense?
Pushing it.
Oh, class ended a while ago.
Yeah, it did.
Why didn't somebody tell me to shut up?
We're learning.
Push it.
All right, I'll push it. I was going to give you a homework assignment, but
Push it. I'll test it and I'll show you that it doesn't work.
all right. I'll see everybody on Tuesday. No homework because I went late.
Were you talking about yours?
Decent trade-off.
Yeah.
Go back to the...
Next time somebody told me to shut up, I was oblivious to the fact that we were over time.
Yeah, so
Oh, really?
No,
I was that
I
enamoring?
noticed. I just like learning.
So I took what I learned at